Hey, welcome back to my channel. I'm absolutely happy that you are here. Happy New Year, belated season's greetings, all the words. I'm hoping that you're good, like for real, and that you are ready for 2026. Now, I'm going to kind of hop on the trend of sharing some lessons that I learned in 2025. But I'm also going to use it to state or use this video to state what 2026 generally is going to look like for me. Alright, so these 5 lessons, let me give you the backstory first. Some of you would know that between mid 2022 into the end of 2023, I went through depression, and based on that, 2024 like onward has been about me like actively rebuilding myself and rebuilding my life, and 2025, I'll say overall, saw me do the most scary steps ever in rebuilding, right? So those of you who don't know, I actually moved from the place that I've been living had been living at for almost 7 years. I also walked away from my 13-year career, or actively pursuing my 13-year career. I kind of do some things on the side, but like those are direct referrals, like no, right? Not pursuing that anymore actively. I also decided to call a specific place of worship home, as in my church home, and I had been resisting that for years. Yeah, a few more things in the midst of all of that, right? So yeah, I would definitely say that 2025 was the year of rebirth and the year of indeed planting seeds, and it felt like new air while somehow still dealing with consequences and elements from past seasons. So it was a very as much as all of that sounds good, like in the midst of everything, and yeah, right, it was a rough year, you know, feeling lost many times in the midst of all of that, and but it built me and it restructured me like completely, and I can't say fully that I am stronger and better for it, but I leave that chapter closed. Yeah. So I just wanted to give that full backstory, and yeah, so these 5 lessons, just 5, basically have come from the rough journey that was 2025, and I pray that, you know, you are blessed by me sharing these things and you are encouraged by these specific things, just in case you're on your own journey of growth. All right. So lesson number 1, healing only progresses when you want it. Yeah. And that sounds weird, right? Because who doesn't want healing? Who does not want to, you know, finally be set free from the things that have been holding them captive and, you know, all these things? But let me just be real with you. There are a lot of us who actually hold on to negativity, and hold on to how we feel about a person and without even realizing it, and so we get so used to it, and part of us starts to like it, you know, because it makes us feel powerful, and it makes us feel like, ew, you know, and so this whole thing of not in my space and becomes like this narrative that boosts us up like Sopragin, and it doesn't help to heal us. Yeah, please note, I am still completely for protecting your space, protecting your peace. What I am not for is having a wrong heart posture in the midst of it. You understand? So what I learned last year is that emerging from the depressive state was good by the grace of God, right? But I was still holding on to some of the emotions that led me into the depressive state. And so based on that now, it was just like, what? What the heck, you know? So me holding on to those things and whatever, I would still feel a lot of the negative emotions, and for the very same people, majority of them who I was seeing consistently, I had the very same emotions. But I felt justified because, of course, everybody feels justified in however they feel regarding a situation and stuff. I felt justified because certain things were indeed done to me. Like, let's be real, but I also reacted badly also to a lot of the things, and that made it worse, right? So, call a spade for the majority of the situations, right? And yes, I felt justified and thing, but I realized that in my justification, I was just not healing. If I was still having the emotions of a situation that happened pretty much 2 to 3 years prior, how is that growth? How is that progress? So I had to humble myself. Better yet, the Lord humbled me nicely. Ooh, a very interesting night. My husband and I were reminded of the fact that unforgiveness is holding us back and stuff like that, and that just in that spare moment, the Lord started shifting even more acts of breakthrough and messages that gave full breakthrough. And the brass tacks of it was that I was preventing my own healing, And yeah, so I had a lot of hard conversations last year. When I say a lot, like a lot. And then on top of that, the Lord showed me a list of persons that I needed to release. And one by one, I reached out to them. Because for me too, in the midst of the acknowledging the healing aspect of things, there had to come obedience as well. So it's one thing to acknowledge that you're not healing. It's another thing to be obedient to God in walking through that healing process and do what He tells you to do. Not the most comfortable thing in life. But I'll tell you, every single conversation that I did have or every message that I did send, I chose to just work on at least starting the process of releasing. And for the majority of them, I can say I fully released. And then in some of the messages I said, it's still gonna take me a while to not cringe about this or whatever, but I want to release this. And I also apologize for my, role in this and whatever. And that's it, And I have to be real with myself on that. Otherwise, it would have been a fake apology or a fake releasing or whatever. Yeah. So at the very least, for some of the persons, the process had been started. And for some of the persons, it was a starting of the process because of how deep that hurt ran. You get what I'm saying? But yeah, but I had to recognize that healing won't progress unless I want it to. And it's a similar thing with repentance. You have to confess your sin and physically recognize that something is wrong, So you have to recognize it and then confess it and then move with the intention to go 180, let's not do that anymore, and consistently walk in that redemption, right? And so it's pretty much the same process, recognizing that, I needed to fix this, and then moving forward with that understanding, So it was a lot of healing last year, and letting go and recognition and the works, right? Next thing, life doesn't pause while you heal. Let's say that again. Life does not pause while you heal, darling, right? So you'd think that, when you're going through this healing process, and if God must be proud of you now, and so certain things you can put on a break and whatever. No. So let's just get that clear. I think it's important for me to say this because sometimes we feel that we are healing in a vacuum. And then somehow the world pauses for us and stuff. And then when it's not pausing for us, we get in a whole other funk, and frustration builds up and all those things. I'm like, you're just trying to get a break, Yeah, life doesn't stop for you. And that sounds really mean, but I think it's an important thing to say. So the bills still need to be paid. So while I was going through this process and finding it difficult to get up and maybe promote one of my businesses or figure out even what I'm doing with my businesses or well my new businesses, so while all of that is happening and stuff, bills still needed to be paid while I still needed to be dealing with my heart. Like there was just so much, so I realized that I had to work on compartmentalization better. And compartmentalization not in the sense of locking things away, because so many of us get into this place of okay cool, let's lock this in a box and whatever, and we do have to deal with it and thing, but that then puts us in a situation where things sneak back up on us years down the line, and then we explode because we never go back in the box. You get me? Ain't nobody got time. I don't got time. So I recognized that I needed to find a way to process what was happening with me in every compartment of my life and find the systems or find a way to disassociate my emotions from my output, right? And so interestingly, that now, and I can say from one and this second point now, based on those two things, that's one of my goals for 2026, right? Disassociating what I'm going through in a specific season from what I put out. Because what I put out, truth is, that's what helps to lead to me getting paid in one way or another, right? And it's not that I want to feel like I'm a slave to my output, but technically anybody who works for money technically ends up being bound to their output dictating what they earn in one way or another, right? Whether your KPIs at work, all them something there. So there has to be a level of disassociation of your emotions versus your output, right? So that's a big focus for me this year, disassociating my emotions from my output, because I know that I can do good work. I know that I can create even more, but I can't spend another year in bed because I'm feeling upset or sad or frustrated or hurt or whatever. I can't, right? So again, life doesn't pause while you heal, so work on compartmentalizing, and that compartmentalizing has to be a healthy one, so you're not shoving your emotions down somewhere where you can't find them again. Find a way to process them in that time generally, so that you can also give of your best and thing. And even if you can't fully process it and stuff, find a way to disassociate your emotions from what you have to put out, and then that I actually believe will give time and space to you revisiting things sooner and processing them even more, right? So, and then shameless plug, that's where systems come in. I'm Madam Systems, so that I'm gonna be working my systems, and I'll possibly introduce what I'm doing systems wise in another video. As much as I haven't done this before, I'm excited about it, and I think it will work, but you're gonna journey with me through it. Next thing, endings grant perspective. A lot of times we say new beginnings and a season has shifted and but sometimes we focus so much on the season that has shifted, or like this new beginning and just being excited about just a new season beginning and just saying goodbye to that thing, but we don't spend the time, like that little gap moment, to take an opportunity to shift our perspectives and to give ourselves permission to have our perspectives being shifted. It took a lot of courage. I was gonna say balls, but I don't have balls. But it took a lot of courage for me to say, I was gonna say goodbye to my 13-year career. Sorry? What am I doing that? Like, legit. Right? And to then go into something or some things that I am more passionate about and I am also called to in specific cases, right? Music, called to it, right? And I've had a bumpy journey with music, so it's not like I'm jumping into some lucrative music business or whatever, like right? And splitting the music into two, helping to multiply, ideally for the kingdom, but yeah, just generally. And also sharing the message that God has given me through song, right? So yeah. And then I'm passionate about food, and part of that helped, it comes from my clean eating desire and helping others to eat better or cleaner on the daily. So that came from that and stuff, and me wanting to play my part in helping other persons who have similar dietary challenges, to be able to still have options and tasty options and not feel like they have to just eat in a box because their bodies just aren't working with them at different points, So that was a lot, and it took a lot of courage to do that, and I'm proud of myself for having done that. But I had to give myself permission to change my perspective and to want to do something differently and to see things differently, that I didn't have to keep sticking with something I was not passionate about because that made more money market wise. You know what I'm saying? So I really had to take the opportunity to shift my perspective and to give myself permission to do that, and then to follow through and stick with it, because opportunities did come where I could have picked back up what I was doing and stuff, but I said, I am sticking to what the Lord has placed on my heart or given me the release to do. So that requires now discipline for me to follow through, and so that's another part of what I'm doing for 2026. Focusing on discipline and not trying to get sidetracked based on fear or doubt or whatever, but like just going all in. You get me? So yeah. All right, so based on all of that now, a reminder: healing progresses when you want it, life doesn't pause while you heal, and finally endings grant new perspectives, right? Number 4, have the courage to get uncomfortable. Now that pretty much picks up directly from what I just mentioned in terms of the journey to sticking with these new decisions, right? It was just a year filled with discomfort, even with the healing aspects and stuff. But I wanted more for myself, and I wanted better for myself, and I therefore had to make the decision that this is the process that I had to go through with God's guidance to get what I want. It's not a perfect journey, and I did still make mistakes in that year and stuff, but I am absolutely proud of myself for sticking to the journey and sticking to the path. So even in that discomfort, I was barely on social media, which is kind of unheard of when it comes to me, right? Because I've always been on social media doing something, right? Whether it's business fully or, sharing stuff and whatever. Yeah, I was barely on social media last year, and I feel good about that, because I chose to give myself space to grieve things and to build and to restructure my mindset and all of those things outside of what anybody else thought, or outside of how many likes were there or not there, or you know what I'm saying. And so there has been a complete reconnection with me, because I allowed myself to get uncomfortable and sit in that. So it has been very insightful, being reminded too of who I am intrinsically. I am a very forthright person. I am someone who's, I have a strong personality. I am very opinionated. I've been taught to be very opinionated. Just how I was raised, and just all of that. And none of that is an excuse, however, for, having a bad attitude and stuff like that. So that's been my, the bane of my journey, working on sharing things in love, working on, not over processing things sometimes, or working on, just interesting interactions with persons, and just having that be more of a calmer output, and changing also my modus operandi, because in the past, because I was being led from an unhealed place, I was fine with just cutting off people, like left, right, and center. Like, you've hurt me, bye. You get what I'm saying? But on the basis of not even community at this point, because I don't think I've gotten to the place where I am ready or willing to have like this whole thriving community and whatever. It's just been traumatic from what I've seen and what I've experienced as well. And so I am genuinely still healing from that. But my modus operandi has shifted, where I am more interested in relationship preservation now versus let's end this, you know? And so I've even seen that in terms of that shift in terms of how I relate to people or how I interact with people. Like, I'm more pleasant, I would say. I'm more open, I would say. I'm also learning to give more grace and stuff, even as I receive grace and things like that. But I'm also still finding that middle ground of, all right, cool, where do I draw the line? Because no matter what, the world is the way the world is. And I believe that there are some persons who will not get the picture and will not respect you if you don't lay your boundaries. You get what I'm saying? So I'm still learning that interesting middle ground. But even just having the awareness of it, I'm proud of myself for seeing both sides of the fence, you know, and just being in that place of wanting to preserve relationships now. And so I'm proud of that. And that wouldn't have come if I wasn't willing to sit in the place of discomfort. Yeah. Number 5, you are worthy. Yeah. Yeah. After what I went through in that place of depression and immediately after and all the things, I was like, all right, cool, am I even worthy of making money anymore? Am I worthy of having relationships that make sense? Am I worthy of even receiving love outside of even my husband and stuff? Am I worthy of it? Because clearly life has, you know, shown me time and time again that it's fun to hurt Charmian almost. You know, and as much as that sounds pessimistic and like I'm playing the victim or whatever, genuinely, since I've had unhealed hurt and all of that, I have felt like just something just not making sense in my life, you know? And I try to put my best foot forward in a lot of different situations, and it still comes back out with the end result being, yo, Charmian, you're just a terrible person. You get me? And most of the time it's me reacting to what someone else has done. Like, yeah, I don't try to be on the offensive unless I really do not respect you and I do not whatever. But like, that's rare. You get me? I generally am, and people have said it, I am defensive, you know? So I've been working on that defensive nature and stuff like that. But I found that even last year, there were situations where I've tried to make certain things easier for somebody, or like I put certain things in place to help someone or whatever, and I still get cussing, or I still say, oh, you have no, but it's so many interesting situations, and I'm like, and in those moments I say, sorry, do you not remember me trying to do this or da da da, or some of them I didn't even get to explain, and it was just that Charmian was a bad person. Now granted, you know, what I've also learned is that I'm not the only one on my journey. You get me? Other people are growing too. So other people are possibly not aware that they are hurtful and they do take other people for granted, and they do, you know, so like everybody's on their journey, right? So while everybody's on their journey, there is a level of worthiness where you can say, all right, cool, you are worthy of love. You are worthy of understanding. You are worthy of good things. You are. Right? And so in me recognizing that, yo, I'm not perfect, but that doesn't disqualify me from worthiness, I decided to grab onto it, you know? So that I think that final lesson, you know, helped me to still pick up back my head at the different points when I recognized a lot of my mistakes, or after having the hard conversations, or after sending the messages of apology, you know, that kind of a thing. And still recognizing that I am worthy of forgiveness. I am worthy of forgiving myself. I'm worthy too of holding space for myself and deciding what I do not deserve. Yeah, and all of that, you know. So everything has come together to allow me to move forward from that place. and to allow me to learn a whole lot that I needed to learn to then propel me into 2026 and what it has in store for me, you know. So with that, from all of these lessons, if you realize, all of the seeds were sown last year to make me learn these lessons, and they have formed the bedrock for everything I'm gonna move forward with for 2026, like literally, you know. So it's giving me space and giving me grace to move forward and to go full throttle, like for real, you know. So I know that 2026 is gonna see a lot more from me. I'm nervous about some of the projects I do have in store, and I'm actually not gonna share them with you just yet. I'm gonna share them as they go along, and we're gonna journey with each chapter as we move forward. But yeah, so I pray that, you know, me sharing some of the things that I went through last year and a lot of these perspectives and these lessons bless you, you know, blesses you and makes you realize that indeed maybe you might need to learn these lessons kind of for yourself and stuff, but just in case you already have, it's a reminder of these things, and they help to form a part of your bedrock as well for 2026. All right, so thank you so much for listening to me. Just a reminder, a final reminder of these lessons. Healing progresses when you want it to, right? Life doesn't pause while you heal. Endings grant perspective. Have the balls or the courage to get uncomfortable, and then you are worthy. All right, so I will see you in the next video.